Hey, hi there. Yours truly here. Today I wanted to talk to you about amazing point. I'm going to review the top five up and coming potential leagues of Europe. I wanted to give my subjective insight on exactly what those leagues are, why I'm evaluating them a specific way, and why I basically think that these leagues are going to be, let's say, where they will be in the next 5 to 10 years' time. So, with that said, I'm going to be doing this in no specific order. So, don't, let's say, judge why you picking this by this time and then why you kind of selecting this league for that specific reason. So, don't let's say, let's not get into that specifically, but here it goes. So, first off, I wanted to start out with the Icelandic uh, Basketball Men's League, currently called the Subway League due to their sponsorships over there, run by the Icelandic Basketball Federation itself. I think specifically as a men's league, they are up and coming for the fact that I'm seeing the kind of imports that actually are really making an impact over there, that are just recently either out of college or trying to make a credible name for themselves. Very much kind of like a step over league that is looking to be at a better pace. They play extremely fast, I'll be honest, and they've got really good sharpshooters. I'll even say this much: for the Icelandic basketball structure to actually grow, um, the top men's league, the pro men's league, for sure, have been striving a lot to try to get to a better place. You see it with the kind of talent that's actually been coming out onto the national team and how they've actually been winning games. Pretty scrappy at points, but definitely very, very good level of basketball. And I'll also say this much in my consideration for when I'm looking at these top five up and coming domestic leagues, I always am going to point this out. I look at the youth development structures of these countries specifically and how that really does mean a lot to where they're trying to get to. So, in that sense, wanted to start out with Iceland for sure. Next up, the Danish Basketball Men's League. Now, Denmark is a very small country in terms of Euroball talk, to be honest, but still, the amount of pressure cooking that is going on there, it's amazing. We already are seeing the Bakken Bears year after year competing at the FIBA Basketball Champions League level, and they're going through the whole, let's say, pre-qualifications of FIBA Europe Cup at points. And I mean, there are tons of other very good teams that are basically going through the same thing. They are, let's say, one of the smaller basketball countries. However, as a community, they're growing. It's very obvious. And again, good solid level of imports that are actually coming in there trying to make a name for themselves. And the youth development structure is really, let's say, improving on a yearly basis as far as I'm seeing. And I think in the general scheme of things, with the amount of basketball economy that's really trying to grow throughout Europe, Denmark is really going to be in a very kind of stable circumstance for the next up and coming years. So it would not surprise me that they definitely make a push to get better for sure. Next up, I'm going to say Austria. Now, the reason why I put Austria in the up and coming circumstance is not at the fact that out of all the leagues that I've actually looked over, they have the most history. But to be honest, I think they're in a kind of restructuring mode. And you can see it in their youth development atmosphere. You can see it in the kind of imports that have been recently been going through that league. I think in that sense, they're more up and coming rather than the more stabilized leagues around Europe. And I think that that's a good thing. So, again, I'm being extremely subjective in my thoughts over here, but for sure, those of you that might think otherwise, feel free to leave a comment. Catch me on YouTube, catch me on Instagram or Twitter, wherever you basically find me. and drop me your thoughts. I mean, I'd be more than happy to hear it. I've got tons of people that I know in Austria, and for sure, I'm going to hear it from them. You know yourself, lovely coaches, players, basketball people from Austria, for sure. Um, Number four, I'm going with Sweden. Now, Sweden have actually been, let's say, putting in brick by brick, building up to a certain steady amount of basketball economy over the last years. However, they're still up and coming, if you ask me, and especially with the men's league, their structure is really getting to a solid place. And level of imports are one tick higher than it is for the other three countries that I've mentioned so far. A little bit better than Austria, Denmark, and Iceland for sure. And in terms of, let's say, quality of play, better pace, and better structure for sure that I'm seeing from the games that I'm basically watching throughout the course of the season. And yeah, I mean, again, youth development to me is key through the Swedish Basketball Federation, through the clubs that I'm basically seeing, the kind of tournaments that are basically coming out from Sweden. I also see shout out to Strength of Motion and you guys, Magnus. I mean, you guys are doing an amazing bit of work out there, and there are tons of other structures out in Sweden that are most probably I'm missing out on. But I mean, the ones that I specifically know about are these. So for sure, yeah, uh, I think Sweden is one of the top up and coming leagues to definitely keep an eye out on. And last and not least for sure, but the British Basketball League, the men's British Basketball League. Now, these guys have been in a pace where they've kind of like been on and off of the stratosphere of Euroball basketball, and I wanted to give them an extra shout out. Now, tons of changes coming through the United Kingdom, and I think the British Basketball League is for sure a space that is holding tons of potential. But more than anything else, the fact that now they have the right kind of structure in place, they understand that content is key, they understand that storytelling is going to be a big thing to push them towards a better atmosphere and a better community setup. They need to get out of the shadow of what I deem soccer, but is called football in Europe, obviously. But still, I mean, they need to get shot out of that shadow and basically form a community which is pretty much growing over the last years. But it's getting to, let's say, the more diverse pace. We saw at the beginning of the season that venture capital has actually been injected into the London Lions structure, and boom, all of a sudden now you see the London Lions on the men's side compete at the FIBA Europe Cup level, and they've been winning game after game. Shout out to my guy Polat Kaya. He's an amazing assistant coach that actually works under Coach Ryan Schmidt over there. Shout out to you too, Coach, for sure. You guys do an amazing job out at the London Lions, and you're really doing an amazing, crazy thing. Love my guy Sam Decker playing for the London Lions. Got to see a lot of him in the NBA and also when he was playing in Turkey as well. So yeah, I mean, out of the top five leagues that I've mentioned, again, just to recap the insight. So I mentioned Denmark, Iceland, Austria, Sweden, and the British Basketball League, so UK, as I deem it. So again, yeah, there you have my thoughts on the up and coming leagues. You can catch us on our socials for sure: Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Always, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. I will never say this enough, most probably, but for sure, make sure to do so. And for those of you that are interested in figuring out more about the stuff that I basically do, hit me up. Check out Ubuntu Basketball the website, and always happy to be with you guys. Have an amazing day. Take care.